Okay. I have no idea. We'll go here. I think I'm live. I'm not 100% sure. It looks like I am. Maybe. I was finishing up watching Peter show. So I don't know exactly. Um, he got me involved in that, and so I wasn't quite set up, but that's okay. Here's Lewis. How you doing, bud? Uh, I don't think I have my microphone, do I? Everything? Yeah, well, it's not too bad. Can you hear me okay, I guess? It looks like the levels look okay. So I'm gonna say you can. Yes. Hey, Sammy, how's it going, bud? Uh, I was kind of really getting into Peters, so I didn't really get everything set up. I didn't even turn my lights and stuff on, so I probably should do that. Maybe. Um, it don't matter. I've got my blanket and my coat, and we'll get through much of this as we can. It's about 13 degrees here, so it's a little bit on the chilly side. And there's Randy. Hey, Randy. And the comments are not coming up. What is going on? Okay. Technical difficulties. I am on the right. Yeah, I think. You guys can see me, I guess, because you're saying hello. So I don't know what's going on with the comments. Why they're not coming up. Everything worked last week, and it says I'm live. It says I'm on the main camera. It says everything is golden, except the comments aren't coming up. And there's Mary. How you doing, Mary? It's good to see you. Uh, Mary is one of my local girls. So, and there's Charles. Charles, I tried to watch your live stream this morning, I think it was, and you were glitching really. I don't think you stayed on very long because you were glitching really, really badly. Rob, hey Rob, how you doing? So I thought I'd stop by and join the next party, right? I was really into all those pictures that Peter was showing, and so I didn't check everything first, my bad. And I have no idea now why everything was working last week, so I have no idea why the comments aren't working, but uh, they're probably you. Oh, maybe I have one too many of me showing. Let's see if that helps. I don't know. Let's try to put somebody up here. Jim's. There's Jim. Okay. So. See, I don't know. I still, you know, I'm kind of thick and I just still don't understand this whole layering process. There was just one too many of me up there. Okay. So it's all good. It's all good. We're going to run with it. And Mary says, "Oh girl, go get warm." Well, Mary, I've got a blanket wrapped around my legs. I've got my little heater back here going, and I've done everything I can do because I mean it's 13 degrees. What are you gonna do? You know, it is what it is. Um, Charles says the cold weather froze your Ecamm. It froze something on me, let me tell you. And Peter saying, "Hey, he made it." That was a quick potty break, Peter. Um, Sammy says, "Going to stop by and say hi, then go to sleep." Right? It's what is it? 11:30 your time? But Sammy, you're probably in I don't know what the temperature is up north, but it has to be colder up there. Oklahoma is not supposed to get this cold weather. And we've had one day of reprieve. Yesterday it was in the 50s. And today we're back into the Arctic again. So, yeah, go figure. Uh, maybe you have many of you. Yes, I had an extra. Don't know where it came from, but apparently I did. So, it's working now. Yes. So I just had to take one of me off. One of these days, I will learn about this layering thing. Okay, still don't have a real good grasp on it, and it does not look like this one is centered. There we go. That looks better. So, it's live. It's gonna happen, right? Didn't this happen to you before? A lot, Sammy. Okay, it happens a lot. That's why I say I'm a little thick, and I don't know why it's happening. That's the problem. Charles says, yes, Sly, this morning we had internet bandwidth issues. Okay. Yeah, because it was, I don't know, I think you were trying to do 8K 60p. Maybe if you had gone down to 4K or, I'd just like to do the 1080 thing. Um, and because I don't have fast internet, so I wouldn't have a prayer trying to get this to upload at 4K. I don't think. I've never tried it, but I have enough problems, so we're not going to try it. Yeah. 11:35. So apparently, Sammy, you are amongst the day people, right? There's a whole lot of night owls in here. And people from Australia who it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Oh, hi, Roy. How you doing, bud? Yeah, so he's one of those 2 o'clock people. It's middle of the afternoon on Saturday for him, so I understand. And Sammy says it's 25 degrees. I definitely have you beat. It is way colder than 25 here. And Charles says it's 80 degrees here in Miami. Man, I would take a 50-degree night, right? It's today I think the high was 20, what was it, Mary? 29, 28, something like that was the high today. Yeah. So things don't really get thought out. To give you a quick recap of the week, I lost water for 4 days because apparently the water meter froze um, outside in the ground. Yeah. And it got down to, I believe it got down to 0, right? Um, so, and we haven't had heat at work for 6 weeks. So the building is ridiculously cold. And yeah, and this girl's not built for cold, let me tell you. Roy says it's a comfy 28 degrees Celsius here. Yeah, well, we'll get one of those days in maybe March. Maybe. We'll see. Sammy says, Peter saw the snow and I sent him a photo. He said he loved it. Well, of course he loves it. He doesn't have to deal with it. We did get snow early in the week. I want to say it was Sunday night, Monday morning, I think we got snow. And it was so cold, but it was just snow. It wasn't like, okay, so in Oklahoma, that's kind of how it rolls. If we get just snow, it packs. And you can drive on that, no problems, no worries. And if it stays cold enough, the wind and stuff, it just evaporates away and not too many problems. If we get moisture with the snow, like if it's warm enough for the snow to kind of melt, then it makes ice and then you got all kinds of problems. But this was strictly snow for 2 or 3 days. So it really didn't cause any problems other than, and yes, I left my water running and it still froze because it froze at the meter. So go figure. Mookie says, are you in a part of Oklahoma where you feel any earthquakes? I have before. They usually are more towards the west. I have, we had a tremendous earthquake before I moved where I'm at now. And oh my goodness, I thought the house was going to come apart. It it shook that house so badly. But here, uh, you notice little things like I keep a water bottle on the bedside table, and for absolutely no reason at all, I'll be laying in bed and the water will start moving. That's an earthquake. So, uh, yeah, we don't get them bad. We're not the epicenter, so we're way far out, and they're probably 50 miles away is where most of them hit, and so you'll just see things like the water moving. It's the freakiest thing. The first time it happened, it was like, oh, okay, that's weird. Roy says 3:35. Okay, I knew it was afternoon, so yes. Roy says it's time America joined the Celsius world. Roy, I agree 100%. I just don't know if I could learn the whole metric system this late in life because my brain is entrenched in Fahrenheit and inches and now you're 100% correct because a lot of the backpack videos I look or the not videos but the pages I look at, the measurements are all in centimeters. And so I open Google to make the translation because my brain is entrenched in inches and Fahrenheit. So, yes. Mary said, yep, and the actual temperature in the morning is supposed to be 6 degrees. Not acceptable. Well, Mary, it's not really one of those things that we get to pick. But yeah, 6 degrees will definitely freeze the water again. So I'm glad I did my laundry today. Charles says you can tell it was hot here in Miami because Peter was wearing his shorts. True. Roy says earthquakes, another reason I like Australia. So earthquakes, Roy, are really more West Coast than they are Midwest. We get tornadoes. That is our kind of, but not this time of year. Tornadoes generally, as a rule, happen early summer, late spring, early summer, sometimes July, maybe. So our early summer is June. It's supposed to be, like, May is supposed to be gearing up for summer, but I've noticed it's more June before it's warm enough to do summer activities. Like, I like to kayak. Well, the water and everything is really too cool in most of the time. Now, I say that, and my son and I did a trip to Turner Falls in early May, and it was hot. It was hot enough. It's never been hot in early May, and it was hot enough you could have gone swimming. So, yeah. Roy says dinosaur vibration. It's kind of like the movie, right? Where they're isn't there a part in which one? Jurassic Park, the first one, where Jeff Goldblum is looking at the water and the water's doom doom. Just like that, Roy. Just like that. I hadn't thought about that. Ooh, I can tell my grandson that one. I like that. Thank you. Charles is talking to Roy. Says, we Americans like to be different from the rest of the world. No Celsius for us. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's, I would love to go chasing a tornado with my camera just so I can get some cool tornado. Did I put that up there? Just so I could get some cool tornado photos. Well, Charles, I've been really close to 3 or 4 of them. And the I don't know if you've been in a hurricane, but feeling the sheer amount of power of Mother Nature, is borderline on scary. Let me tell you. I was on the river in one of them, and it slung my boat. What it felt like it was straight up, but I'm sure it was, probably like that. I just knew the boat was going to tip over backwards, and it came crashing down. And when it hit hard enough, I thought surely it broke the hull, and it performed admirably and got us safely to shore. But obviously, I'm still here. But it was scary. So I try to avoid them instead of go out looking for them. Now, a thunderstorm, Peter makes fun of me because I like to go out on my porch and watch it rain in a thunderstorm. But, I mean, I'm not sitting in the rain. I'm just watching the rain. It's very peaceful. So I like that a lot. Roy says, Celsius 100-degree water boils, 0 water freezes. Below that, the Teslas have testicles. Testicles. Below a 0, the Teslas have testicles. I like that. Yes. Well, it has really been a struggle with. I added a second heater, so the house is somewhat stabilized if you're bundled up, and I am. So we should be good. And then my bed has a heated mattress pad on it, and it is right now it's got like, I don't know, probably 15 covers. And so I just cocoon myself in there, and it'll be all right. I've survived over 60 of these winters. It'll be all right. So I'm not too worried about it. Uh, it's the other stuff like at work where you can't burrow in that I don't. I mean, it's a business. They can't really close it down, but they need to do something. They finally got the heat on late this week. So, Charles says, "Do you have a fireplace?" I do. And funny thing about that, when I bought the house, I put gas logs in. Okay, they don't put out a lot of heat, but that was okay. I didn't need it. Right? Have central heat and air, and so, but they do put out some heat. Well, so I lit them, and I was so excited, you know, and let them fully heat up for the first time. They have to the the fire from the little gas pipe. The fire has to heat the logs, and then they radiate the heat out. That's in theory, okay? Well, I let them heat up for about 20 minutes. Had a nice roaring fire going there, and went to go stand in front of it, and I was so excited, and I couldn't feel any heat. And so I got closer. Couldn't feel any heat. So then I moved. There's like a screen. So I move the screen. And I get directly in front of the fire. No heat whatsoever. You literally have to be sitting on the fire to feel any heat from that thing. So it's 100% useless. Yeah. Rob said, earthquakes out here in San Francisco. Yeah. The big 1989 quake was on my birthday. That was fun. Oh, yeah. They have been saying for years and years, as long back as I can remember, that California is going to drop off into the ocean. Hasn't yet. So, I don't believe everything you hear. Lewis is here. How you doing? Hello, Sly and friends. Happy New Year. Stay warm always. So, what is the temperature in Canada? See, I'm thinking of all these places in the world right now that are having a worse winter than I should be. Okay? And I'm having a really bad winter. So, it's supposed to rain this week, And with temperatures like it is, that means ice. That is gonna be bad, right? Snow, I can handle with the best of them. I have a four-wheel drive truck that has really big knobby tires. I can go anywhere in snow. Not scared. But throw ice at me, I get a little scared. Yeah. I don't like driving in ice. That is a bit too much for me. So, um, but I'm ready for the weather to warm up so we can get outside and start doing stuff. I'm pretty sure, I don't know. Everybody talks about cameras overheating. Do they freeze? Because I don't know that I'd take a camera outside right now. It is so cold. Plus, you don't want your hands exposed. I'd have to wear gloves, and I would think shooting in gloves would not be a good thing. Yeah, you'd have no dexterity whatsoever. Didn't they say the world was going to end in 2012 also, right? So, someone on some internet site put out that the world did end and we are all living in virtual reality, which I thought that was kind of hilarious myself, but you know. We're having a cool summer, only a few days in the mid 40s. So that would be if 100 is boiling and 0 is freezing, 40s must be somewhere around the 40s. At some point, Fahrenheit and Celsius has to cross. I'm not sure where that number is, but so I'm thinking mid 40s, because here boiling is what, 212? So if you take half of that, that would be 90, right? Maybe. I'm not sure. Roy says camera batteries freeze and fail. Okay. So, yeah, I would think I just don't think it would be a good idea. When it's 6 degrees, anything exposed gets too cold. We'll just put it like that. It's just too cold. So I've been wearing, I look like what do they call it, the Michelin Man when I go to work, because I've got this big beanie on my head and coveralls on and gloves on, and I have a what do they call it, a baklava? Is that how you say it? Where all you can see is your eyes and everything else is covered. Um, Coming. It should have been here today, and it's late. So it'll probably be here just as soon as the weather warms up. Yeah, that's about how it runs. Uh, 45 Celsius is about 115 Fahrenheit. Okay. So that's nice and balmy. I will think of you, Roy, as I am, shivering me timbers. And there's Carlos. Hey, Sly. We had the warmest Christmas I can remember, but can't complain about our weather here in Southern Cal. Uh, we did not. And we didn't get a white Christmas either. Very rarely does Oklahoma get a white Christmas. It's usually January and February are our cold months, but not this cold. This is ridiculous. I actually was, you know how the iPhone does a day, like a Remembrance Day, and they'll show you like a photo that isn't still in your phone from a year or two ago, and it showed a picture of a beautifully snow-covered yard, and I looked at the date, and it was February of 2 years ago. So, which reminds me, February the 4th, it marks my 1 year of doing live streams. So we're coming up on a year really quickly, guys. And it's so much fun. It's just going to keep going. Charles says, when my camera batteries freeze, I go into manual mode. I draw my photos. Right? Well, so that's, I've been having trouble with that too because I cannot write in gloves. So I have to take the glove off, write my reports, and it is so cold, my hands start like, they turned white. Well, they turned red and then they turned white and they hurt. And so I'm thinking like frostbite. Eh, it's just, it's been way too cold. Roy says, think of me when you were sitting on the heater, right? Yeah, that's, I can't tell you how many times I have thought of taking a chair and just taking a chair in and putting it by the heater. So, a lot of old timers that had those old wood stoves, they always had chairs around them. And now I know why. Because it's a little chilly. Roy says, I haven't seen snow since I was in Europe last, thank goodness. I don't mind 2 or 3 days of snow, and that's usually all we get. The next storm that rolls through is going to bring ice. So it's going to be raining, and it's going to be below 20, which, stuff freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius. So if it's 20 here, that would be negative something on the Celsius scale, right? And that's just not right. That this is Oklahoma. We're not supposed to get this cold. But there you go. There you have it. So I've been doing something kind of fun, right? I wanted to see, I watch a lot of EDC videos and see what other people carry and what they carry for starters, what they put in their kit, and if they like backpacks or sling bags or, what they like. And because I feel like I tend to carry too much. Okay. But I'm, a Girl Scout at heart, and I just, I done the mom thing where you always want to have it. It's to this day, I carry wet wipes in my truck. Okay. And that comes from having children forever. So, and it is so funny to me, ironically funny, haha, that everyone is wanting to slim down, right? And not carry everything but the kitchen sink. And I've kind of been on that platform for years, right? So I have things that I carry in my truck all the time. They stay out there. In fact, I probably need to charge some of the batteries to the flashlights and stuff because it has been so cold. I did have to, which most people don't think about, Mary. I did have to put air in my tires because it's been so cold that as the weather gets colder, the air pressure drops. So, Mary, if you haven't checked your tires, you might want to do that because mine were low enough that the light came on. So I did have to add air, and I did it when we had a reprieve, when it was like 40, and I noticed when the temperatures dropped again that I still lost 5 or 6 more pounds of air per tire. So you might check that. Charles says, I love cold weather, hot chocolate with marshmallows on a stick. Well, come on, Charles. You need to come to Oklahoma. We have got some cold weather for you. Roy says, in old English houses, chairs can fit inside the fireplace. I'm almost to that point. Now, these gas heaters that I got, they actually do a really phenomenally good job. I had to play with, like, the house has a lot of doorways, and so I've kind of been playing with, I have these big, I don't know if you call them blankets or rugs, but they're big, thick, heavy somethings. And so I've been playing with them as far as putting them over doorways, trying to direct the heat a certain way. It doesn't work. Yeah. So I eventually just took them down, and those two heaters, one on either side of the house, is they're doing a good job. It's just too stinking cold. So if it would get up to 30 or 40 degrees, I'd be fine. It's just when it's down to 13, they're having a little trouble keeping up. Roy says the best bag is the one carried by someone else. I have a friend that would agree with you. She tries to get her grandson to carry her bag every time she goes to shoot something. Yeah. Charles says, I'm trying to get rid of my bags and carry everything in my pants pockets. Oh, no, 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 no. No, no. Not a good look. Not a good look. But like the I think my favorite of all time sling bag is that Hunterson. I think is how you say it. So what I've been doing, you guys are gonna think I'm crazy, and I am. I know. I'm certifiable. So there's been a little bit of pressure put on me to try this Temu outfit. All my girlfriends are buying from Temu, and they're buying clothes, and they love them, right? Now I'm not obviously much of a clothes horse, you know. Not really into that whole thing. I did get one t-shirt from Temu, and I do love it. Okay. It's a Harry Potter themed t-shirt, so yeah. And I like Harry Potter. But I got a backpack. And that's actually going to be my video for tomorrow. But now the kind of the I don't obviously camera bags will never be out of style, but a lot of photographers are switching over to regular backpacks with inserts. You can get a higher quality bag for a third of the price and just put an insert in it. And they come in way more sizes than what most camera bags come in. So if you, let's say you want a very small camera bag, but you still want a backpack, right? Those are really hard to find. Uh, in fact, the only one that I found that is actually really small is the one that I have, the Timba, 10 liter. Because even the Wandered, which says it's 11 liter, it's not. It's not. It's still a big bag. In fact, it's, if I move my head, it's the one sitting, that that's an 11-liter bag. It's every bit as big as the, I don't know what bags I have up there, guys. Honestly. But it's, yeah, it's not quite as big as the 20, but it's close. So, uh, I don't know how the different manufacturers decide on what size their bag is, but that is not 11 liters, right? The Timba is probably, where is it? Yeah, this little thing here. This is a 10-liter bag. It's not a 10-liter backpack because my, what is it? I want to say it's a 13-liter backpack is way smaller than this. So, so Charles doesn't want to carry around a big a big anything, right? He wants to keep everything in his pockets, which, by the way, is unless you just have hardly anything, it's not a good look. Just saying, Charles. Just saying. So, but you don't want to carry a big old bag, especially like if you're going to Disney World or something. I don't even think they let you carry a big bag. Don't they make you like check it in a locker or something? You can carry a little one, but you can't. I don't think they want you carrying a big one. Well, you can buy inserts. Again, Timba is probably would be my insert of choice. Um, and put it in a small backpack. And if you're only taking one camera and maybe one extra lens, you're pretty much good to go. Now, I'm talking about street photographers. I'm not talking about people doing portraits and stuff like that. But for street photographers that want to really slim down their kit, the trend seems to be going to getting just a regular high quality backpack and putting an insert in it. And this was a very good point, if you have a low pro bag, thieves know that's a camera bag. If you have a, I don't know, JanSport backpack, there's no telling what could be in there. Your smelly gym socks, for all they know. They're not going to assume it's camera gear, right? So they may steal the backpack just because that's what thieves do, but they're not going to think that it's because there's camera gear in it. Thousands of dollars of camera gear. Um, Charles says, I'm almost there. Well, so I did for a long time, kind of before I got into this bag thing. I had, uh, I had my, and everything I carry is really small, but it was in my pants pockets, and it's just not a good look. Yeah. So Charles says your house might need a redo of insulation. This house needs a lot of things done to it. It needs to be bulldozed and start over. We won't go there. You will get more spam because because I bought something from Temu. Uh, maybe. I'm trying to. Let's see. Randy says, "Sorry, thought you were talking about the sales website." Okay, so yes, that's quite possibly true. Okay. Um, is it Timba? No, it's TEN as in Nancy, BA, I think. No, it's not. You're gonna make me look because I'm an idiot and I can't remember the name of the bag. And I don't have my glasses on. Um, yeah, 10, like TENBA. Timba. Yeah, love that bag. That's they come that particular bag comes in 3 sizes. None of the sizes are like they size the backpacks, like just a regular backpack. Just throwing that out there. That's supposed to be a 10. I have a 14 and a 16. And the 16 will hold as much as the PGY Tech. I think it's a 20 or 22 liter. Yeah. Uh, and welcome, Mookie. I haven't seen you before, so welcome. Scott saying hello to everybody. Hello, Scott. Glad you made it. But what I'm trying to do is make an EDC bag on the cheap and see how cheap I can make one. And so I ordered a backpack off Temu. And it's actually not bad. Now, I don't think it's going to hold up like, you know, my $200 backpacks. Okay. You can definitely tell quality difference between the Temu and the Boundary Supply. Okay. Huge head and shoulders difference. Okay. But I'm going to give you guys a preview because it's not going to drop till tomorrow. But this is the little $20 backpack. really not bad. It's got a good feel to it. It's pretty lightweight. Got the aqua guarding on the zippers. Not a bad bag for 20 bucks. And you can put an insert in here. And who amongst us would think there's a camera in here? Nobody. So it's kind of a, you know how I like small things and I don't like to carry a lot of weight, and it really kind of makes sense. It's a good alternative. Uh, it was funny, Scott, because I was watching this one guy, and I can't remember his name, but he was saying you can even put a bag or put your camera in a paper bag, and you've got your camera in a bag. And I immediately thought of you. Immediately. Roy says, Timba is my second favorite bag brand. Yeah, I love that bag, and it has held up remarkably well. I think I've only had it about a year, though. So my Vanguard held up for 2 years. So we'll see. The jury's still out. But, when the weather is not freezing or so hot it melts stuff, the camera bag goes everywhere with me. So, Carlos, how you doing? Carlos says, Temu, so much of that stuff is on Amazon. I just prefer to go direct and pay way less. Haven't had a bad purchase experience yet. So, you're 100% right. And I wanted to see because I really think this stuff, this Y ship matrix, I really thought that would be on Temu's website. It is not. I have yet to find anything with X-Pack on Temu. So, I don't know if they're just putting the cheap stuff on there, but yeah, I feel like the same people that sell to Temu are on Amazon too. They just, I think Amazon charges a little bit more commission maybe, and so the prices are $2 to $3 higher for the exact same thing. So, yeah. Now, I will say that I would rather pay the $2 or $3 more and get it within a day or two. Temu is shipped from, I guess, China, and it takes forever to get the stuff here. It takes so long that you forget what you ordered. Okay, that may not happen to everybody, but it happened to me. I opened the package, which they like vacuum seal this stuff down, and so everything came in this little bitty package, and I'm like, by this point I had completely forgotten all about it because it had been a good month, and so, and then when I got it and it said Temu, I'm like, oh, I did order something off there, but I had forgotten what it was. So it was like, you know, Christmas all over again. You get to open a package and you don't know what's inside of it. Charles says, I have found a little gold mine here in Miami for bags. Just bought a Peak Design bag for $3. Wow. That is a gold mine. Good job. Which one did you get for $3? It doesn't matter. I mean, a $3 Peak Design bag, that's a good deal. Roy says, low pro are the best protected but heavy. I saw that comment, Roy, and I don't even know where it is now. I think it's over there somewhere. But that low pro bag I have is not heavy at all. I mean, it is super lightweight. I have a Vanguard. Is it Vanguard? Yes. VO Active 46, I think. That's a heavy bag. The low pro, I can lift one finger. I mean, it is not heavy at all. So I don't know which low pro you're maybe talking about. Now they had one at Target that I looked at that was see, I don't know how they do their sizing. I know they start at like 150 is the smallest backpack, and for a small backpack it was heavy. Like heavy enough I thought maybe there was something in it, but it really wasn't heavy enough for there to be something in it. You know what I'm saying? It was just heavy for an empty bag. So, yes. Mookie says, thank you, Nikon user here. And I am now interested in the backpack insert idea. Yeah, because you can get a super, super nice heavy duty backpack for a third of the price of a camera bag and then just put an insert in it. And if you look at Timba's inserts, they have all sizes, all configurations. They have top loading, side loading, any way you want to, put front loading, any way you want to put it in there, depending on how the backpack opens. So if it just opens like this one, for example, just opens about halfway down and then the front opens. So you would want your camera insert to be facing up. But some of them like will clamshell all the way, and so you might want it to be facing the front. So it just kind of depends on the bag. But you can get a much nicer backpack than you can a camera bag for way less money. So it's just an idea. And Scott's laughing about his sack that he told me he carried something in, like a $2,000 lens in a sack, lunch sack. Roy says, my think tank bags are of the same volume as Low Pro, are much lighter but more expensive. See, that's what I'm talking about. Think Tank they make really good bags, and I'm not knocking any of the camera bags, but they're expensive. And now, granted, some of these backpacks are pretty dadgum expensive. I think one of them over there is $269 maybe, but it's got a bunch of stuff that goes with it. One of these, this one I think, was like 200 with, nothing in it but dividers. So, yeah. Now it's a really nice camera bag. Okay? But it's heavy and it's expensive, and that is I think it's that one, is a Hex brand. Uh, super, super nice backpack, but expensive. And way too big for anything I need. I used that one when I was carrying the Mac up to my son's, because you can get everything plus the kitchen sink in it, and it holds it all just fine. So it's kind of deceiving on the size thing, because you don't know, there is no like standardization of sizes when it comes to backpacks. They'll just say, oh, it's 13 liter, and it'll be as big as another company that says it's 20 liter. So I don't really know how they're doing their liters, but there is no standardization, because that 10-liter bag is bigger than a 10-liter backpack. So Roy says mirrorless were supposed to be smaller and lighter. They aren't. Now my mirrorless cameras are pretty small compared to the DSLR. So, when I've been making these videos, I try to use the DSLR because I know a lot of you guys shoot bigger cameras. My M6 Mark II is a tiny little thing, and that's why I like it. right? But if you're not shooting a little camera, then seeing it for comparison would do you absolutely no good. You know, if you're still using one of the big Nikons, or uh, what was it Peter had? Peter had a big camera, and I can't remember now what it was. But so I try to use the 80D just so you can kind of see the size of what it would look like in a particular bag. But I am going to kind of go that route of getting a backpack, while I have one coming, that I have had people ask me to do more CCW. Okay. And I was just told that in Oklahoma you don't need a license, a permit to carry anymore. Apparently we voted, I wasn't aware that we did this until yesterday. Apparently we voted that it is unconstitutional to make you have to get a permit to carry a gun on your person. So, uh, but I have had people ask me to do more CCW bags, so I'm going to make a camera bag out of one of them, and we'll see how that goes. I don't know, just a different, just taking a little different scenic route. Roy says, when I go into a questionable area, I have an old beaten up bag for camouflage. Yes, because you don't want to advertise, you know, that number one, you're a photographer and you've got $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 of gear in this bag. So if you look like you don't have enough money to buy a cup of coffee, they're probably not going to steal your bag. Maybe. It depends. Charles says, we have to think more out of the box, or we have to think more out of the box. I put my lenses to protect them inside thick socks. It works. Yes. Uh, did you see this is dating myself and it is a horrible video, so please don't go watch it. But I used koozies, like the cheap foam koozies, for when I was carrying around a bunch of different lenses. And you can write on the bottoms of them what the lenses are. And then I personally had mine color coded. And so, like, the light blue was my favorite lens. And they just kind of went by my favorite colors were my favorite lenses, down to, you know, the ones I didn't use very often were typically in the orange and red. And so, but the koozies worked fantastically. And I got like 2 dozen for $7 or $8. It was like next to nothing. So, old socks, perfect. Mookie says, are you doing a video showing some specific examples of backpack insert combinations? I am gearing up to do that, yes. I've got a backpack coming that is a reasonably expensive backpack. And then, but it needs to be in my hands first before I order the insert, because I'm not sure, like, the dimensions. Even though it says it's so many liters, I need that here in-house so I can measure it before I order the insert, so it'll be for that bag. So yes, I will be doing that. It will be a bit, because I've got to wait for everything to come in. So, Roy's talking to Charles. Lenses in your socks, it must make walking difficult. Charles comes up with some really good ideas. He's really quite intelligent. Roy says, the worst lens bags are the ones that go on your belt. They are trouser droppers. And they just look not good. Okay? Just, I don't know. Yeah, I'd rather have that stuff in a backpack. I know it takes time to take it off and get the lens out and all that good stuff, but And I guess if you were shooting a wedding or something, maybe, and you needed to change lenses really quickly, but then you're a wedding photographer and people expect you to look a certain way. If you're doing street photography, they don't. So it's all that kind of thing. So do you have bag gas? So, Charles, that's just kind of what took off, buddy. Um, I tried several different things, and the bag thing is just kind of what has evolved, right? So, uh, yeah, I have a lot of bags. And so I turn around and I either gift them or sell them on Facebook. Um, and what is ironic, I think it's terribly ironic, is that when somebody, so they see a bag that I have on Facebook and they want to buy it, whatever. And then when I actually meet them and tell them I have a YouTube channel, their opinion of me immediately changes. And they think I'm someone famous, and I'm not. So it's it makes me smile every time because I get the same reaction every single time. They all of a sudden they act like they're dealing with a celebrity. And I'm like, I'm not a celebrity. I'm the same person you were talking to before, the minute before you found out I had a YouTube channel. So it's kind of, humans are funny creatures. Yeah, it's kind of funny. But so yeah, the bag thing just kind of took off and I just kind of ran with it. Um, and I have learned a lot, but I'm still in the camp where smaller is better because you have to carry this stuff a lot of times all day. If you're like, if you go sightseeing and you want to take your camera, right? Which who among us doesn't? You end up carrying that thing all day. So, like when I go to the Ren Fair, that's a 4 to 5 hour excursion, right? And whatever equipment I'm taking, I'm carrying all day because nobody I go with wants to carry it for me. So the smaller and the more compact I can get stuff, the better. Charles says not famous yet. I like, okay, the size I am now. I mean, we have Mookie is new, but everybody pretty much knows everybody. And if your channel grows slow, everybody kind of gets to know everybody. So, Mookie, you're lucky we're not asking you 1,000 questions tonight because um, I don't know if you can tell yet, but everybody here kind of knows where everybody lives. Like Roy lives in Australia, Charles is in Florida. Everybody kind of knows everybody. So, where are you from, Mookie? That's You don't have to tell us if you don't want to. Um, because with YouTube can't comes anonymity too. So, uh, yeah. But you'll find, especially, and this is how I like it. This is how I want it. That everybody knows everybody. Rob lives in California. I don't know if you picked up on that since he knows about earthquakes, but it's a good mix, and you really get to know these people. So I think that's way more fun than if there were 100 people in here and I couldn't even read all the comments. So this is my second time watching you live, and I think you are famous. Not Emmy Award winning famous, but famous in my mind. Well, thank you so much. Uh, it's so I actually went to Florida a couple of years ago and I got to meet Peter and Lewis. And so I could kind of put a face with names. And then Peter did a fantastic thing one night where I don't know if you've seen his live, Peter Gregg, but he did a fantastic thing where I guess there's an interview mode on this Ecamm. And so he brought people in so we could really put a face and a voice with the name. And I loved that. That was like groundbreaking. Charles says, too many YouTubes, quitting YouTube. I think that probably has always been a thing, but with the what we just went through in 2020, or was it 2019? You know what I'm talking about. But anyway, um, I think there was an insurgence into YouTube, and that those people are getting on with their lives now, and so they're dropping out. Uh, I don't know that they ever would have gotten started had everybody not been homebound for months. So I don't know if it's because they're just getting back out there now and they just don't have time, or but I do think that YouTube saw a huge growth, and now it's kind of leveling off a little bit. Casey Neistat is quitting YouTube. Really? I did not know that. Has he said why? Mookie says, Nikon user, photojournalism, work for a newspaper and sometimes AP pool photographer outside Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So Roy is a huge Nikon fan. Everybody here shoots with something different. Charles tends to like Fujifilm. Roy is Nikon. Peter likes everything. He's like the melting pot of photography. I think he's leaning a little bit more, just leaning a little bit more Sony right now, but Peter likes everything. So, Jeff happens. Hey, Jeff, how you doing? Good day from down under. How are we all? What have I missed? It's really cold, and I'm explaining to Mookie that everybody in here shoots with something different. I'm a Canon girl. Jeff's a Canon guy. But everybody, it doesn't matter with what you shoot with. Okay? We're not like prejudiced at all against what brand of camera you prefer. Nobody cares, right? It's like, do you like Levi's or Wranglers? Nobody cares. They're jeans, right? We all like cameras. So, and that's what I love about this community is there is no bickering amongst us about, oh, this brand's better than this brand, or if you don't shoot Nikon, you're not a real photographer, or there's none of that. And so it's from what I understand, because none of the people in this group or any of the groups that this has spawned from have a problem with any of the brands, right? I don't know that Charles would ever shoot with a Canon, but he doesn't slam the people that do, right? So I think he's pretty much our only Fujifilm shooter, I think. I could be wrong. But it's just a really good community where everybody gets along. We just like to take pictures, right? I sent my picture in to Peter too late, but that was a really cute little girl. So I don't have it on this computer. I'd show you what it was. Mookie says, all modern camera brands are capable of amazing photos these days. They really are. They're really, it's not the camera, it's the photographer, right? Because you could put really any, I have a Sony is my overhead cam, and then two Canons in front of me. Uh, and I thought I would try the Sony. I gotta say, I'm really not a fan. So it sits up there overhead, and it does wonderful for overhead shots. Now, I did notice when I was editing one of the, because normally I do the overhead shot to show the sling bag or backpack or whatever it is, and I noticed it was breathing. What is up with that? Like, it was like going in and out, in and out, in and out. And so I just had to put my hands on the bag and just stop for a minute. And it finally settled down. But it was the weirdest thing, and it's done it twice. And I don't know what makes it do that. So, um, yeah, if you guys know, let me in on the secret here, because it was really quite strange. And I'm glad I caught it when I did, so that I could just stop, let it settle in, and then keep going. But I look up, and it's breathing. It's weird. Very weird. Jeff asks, is there any Hasselblad users? I saw there was a lady on Facebook selling any camera, and it must have been somebody's collection, because she probably had 25 cameras. But she was selling them for $25 a piece. Yeah. And they were old like that. They were the Hasselblads and the older cameras. And the lenses, I think she was wanting 20. And she had a slew of lenses. I was going to message her to see if I could come by and see what they were. And that wasn't in God's plan for me, because the weather turned to 13 degrees. So that didn't happen. Charles says you can make an iPhone photo look like it was shot with an R5 or a Sony A1 with AI. Okay. Um, so I don't even know where my phone is, but I did a thing. I don't know how I did it. I kind of like it. But when you take a picture and you put it as your wallpaper, there's the clock is in front of the picture, right? Here we go with layering again. Well, somehow I took a picture of my grandson, and he just him, not the background, but just the boy is in front of the clock. It is so cool. I was just like, I don't know how I did that, but it looks really cool. Like, just the top of his head is in front of the clock, and then the background is still in the background. So, yeah, I couldn't do that with my camera. So, Mookie says, sounds like the Sony was focus hunting. It, but it was doing it so regular. Like, it wasn't going way in and out of focus. It was literally just like it was breathing up there. It's haunted. That's what it is. It's haunted, as my old granny used to say. Charles says, I have shot with Hasselblad, but I prefer the Fujifilm GFX 100. And didn't you go to New York and buy a Leica something? I think he did. But I could be wrong, because, I'm getting older, and the brain cells are not regenerating like they used to. That's what we're going to say anyway. Roy says, does a Hasselblad H count? Well, yes. Mookie says, why can't I ever find these people selling $25 classic cameras? Well, obviously it was probably an estate sale, and the cameras didn't sell because nobody knew they had them. So she put them on Facebook, and I don't know even how many she has left. But when I saw it, I thought, ooh, because a lot of people, like, I have adapters for my M cameras that where they'll take the EOS, hmm EF lenses. So EF and EFS, I think. Now the older ones past that, they probably wouldn't, I'm gonna say. But and some of this, most of this gear looked like it was uh, kind of antique-y. So I maybe I couldn't have found anything, but just to have one for a background shot would have been nice. Charles says Hasselblad, uh-huh, and Bronica were great cameras back in their time. So that middle one I have not heard of, don't know how to say it. Mamiya? Mamaya. Mama. Um, and Bronica. Yeah. So Bronica I've heard of, obviously. Is it Hasselblad or Hasselblad? I'm not sure. Roy says Sony I is just marketing fertilizer. Well, uh, so Peter shot something out in his backyard, and then he came in and he put that Sony AI. He ran it through the Sony thing, the computer, and it took out all the shakiness. It really stabilized it. So it may possibly be marketing fertilizer, but it's good marketing fertilizer. Uh, Jeff says, only if you want bragging rights, Roy. Roy has the biggest collection of camera stuff, Mookie, and anything anything camera related, he'll just turn around and pick it off the shelf and he's got it. So I think Roy has been collecting cameras for a few decades. We'll just leave it at that. Roy is talking to Charles saying they still are. I have uh, digital backs on mine, except the Veronica. Charles says, yes, I have a Leica SL2 that I bought a couple of years ago. Okay. So that's probably what I've probably known you 2 or 3 years. So, um, but I seem to remember you taking a flight. I think you took a flight up there and then took a flight. You didn't stay very long. You just went to B&H to buy a camera, if I remember right. Royce says, bragging is my best skill. That's not true. You're a funny guy, too. Royce says, I still have my first camera since I was 6 and most of the ones since. Yeah, I've only sold one, and it was one that was the 90D. Um, I just could not get the thing to cooperate with me. And I still think, and I will go to my grave thinking, that that camera, well, there was something wrong with it because the lady I sold it to sold it 6 months later. So, um, I think it was the camera, not the operator. Peter kept telling me it was the operator. I'm pretty sure it was the camera. Mookie says the first time someone mentioned that one brand to me, I wondered, when did David Hasselhoff make cameras? Oh, that's hilarious. That's, somehow I've been around long enough, I guess, that I had heard of them. I've never used one. And then a friend of my daughter's came up with one, and uh she just wanted it for put on a shelf as a conversation piece. She has no plans, I don't think, to shoot with it, but she just, wanted to use it as a decoration type thing. And they are cool. I would love to have a couple old cameras just set back there, you know, when I remember to turn all the lights on. Yeah, it's okay. I was engrossed in Peter's show, and so I forgot. The overhead light isn't on. The the sign's not on. I just, it's okay. It happens. It's a live thing. And if you hear, hope Crisp is taking out that noise because I just realized I was tapping my foot trying to make my legs warmer. It's really quite my feet. It's the floor. Okay, it's not cold up here at all. I'm perfectly warm, but on the floor it is extremely cold, and so I'm starting to lose feeling in my feet. Charles says these cameras that we've been mentioning are all medium format, way better than full frame. So full frame is the equivalent of the old 35 millimeter, correct? And medium format is larger, I think. I could be completely, I'm out of my depth. I've never shot medium format. Charles says, but they are very expensive too. That could be why. You know, when I started photography, it was because I had two babies and they were very cute babies. And I was the typical housewife that wanted to take pictures of her cute babies. And it was back in the film days. And it was a fairly expensive hobby. And you might get 3 or 4 keepable, usable shots out of a roll of 12 if you were lucky. Um, I usually got 3 or 4 keepers, but and then fast forward to the digital age, and now you can look at them as soon as you take them, so you know if you want to trash it or keep it. So Roy is saying to Charles, I only use medium format these days if the client requests it. And there's Peter. Wrap your feet in another hoodie or jacket if you own them, so they are free. If you own them, they are free to use. Well, I have hiking boots on, and I have. Okay, you guys ready to laugh? I feel like an old lady because I'm sitting here and I have a blanket wrapped around my lower extremities. So if you guys don't think it's cold here, it's cold here. It's all good. Just as my first camera growing up was a little Kodak pocket film camera till it stopped working. So do you guys remember, is there anybody old enough in here? Well, we're all old enough, but do you guys remember the disc camera? Yeah, you had a disc, and I want to say there was 10 shots on it, maybe 15, but you loaded this disc, and the disc, every time you took a picture, it would advance to the next. It was so weird looking, but that was one of my favorite cameras. Yeah, dated myself right there, didn't I? So Kodak disc camera. Roy says medium format has the better image quality, but is slow and clumsy. And Jeff says, yes, they have a bigger sensor. That's what I thought. Charles says a shot of whiskey might might just do the trick and keep you warmer. Yeah, and burn my throat. Scott says Chris was working very well. Very sorry about the heat issue. Seriously, Scott, it's colder. It's got to be colder where you are. Michigan has got to be colder. Make me feel good. Tell me Michigan is colder than Oklahoma. It has to be. If it's going to be, although if it's going to be 6 degrees tonight, I'm going to lose water again. So That kind of sucks, but you know, is what it is. The DJI uh, DJI Hasselblad X2D and Fuji GFX 100 sensors are only a bit bigger than full frame. Oh, okay. Uh, Sony Mavica with the CDs. So did Sony make a disc camera as well? Um, I mean, that has been, that's probably been, disc camera was probably 40 years ago, 50 years ago, maybe. I'm trying to remember. You know, I think actually, I was probably still a kid, and took it to summer camp. Peter says, do they make an electric adult size onesie? Yes, well, I don't know if they're electric. I know they make adult size onesies. Um, but I probably wouldn't wear it on camera. With my cute little cat bathrobe? Yeah. Mookie says, that disc camera was like a wheel, odd format. It was. It was a wheel. Like, and it had the negative was like tiny, right? And it just turned, but the whole camera was tiny. And that's been a long time ago. Roy says Kodak disc cameras were the worst thing they ever made. Yes, but they were fun and they were tiny. Did I mention that? Charles says you feel like an old lady. You still feel like a spring chicken. Um, a frozen spring chicken, right? So, like I said, from here up, I'm perfectly comfortable, but my legs are like getting frostbite. So there's that. It the and the floor is legitimately cold. Um, I usually, if I'm home, I usually run around in house shoes, and I think I wanted a bottle of water or something, and so I ran into the kitchen, not even thinking about it. And number one, the carpet in the bedroom is so cold it feels wet. And then when I hit the vinyl floor in the kitchen, oh my goodness. Yeah. It did not take me long to get my bottle of water. Sony made a camera that took 3.5-inch floppy disks. Okay. Wow. That's, I remember the 3.5-inch floppies. They were such a step up from the 5 1/4, right? That when the 3.5 came out, they were in a hard case, number one. The 3.5 or the 5 1/4 inch floppy was not. And so I really thought we had moved into excuse me, the the future. This was like, I remember when the 3.5 came out, and I thought that was so groundbreaking technology. I loved it. Peter's laughing at me. That's okay. Um, Jeff says, what is the temperature where you are? It's so hot here. Maybe throw some cold my way. Jeff, I have been trying to fan that cold air over to you for a week, and it is not working. So you need to reciprocate and start sucking some of it your way, because I'm trying. Cool things down where you are a little bit. Scott says it's 12 degrees here, so it's cold for sure. Okay, so okay, this is my point. It should be colder in Michigan than it is in Oklahoma. Mother Nature is a little messed up right now. She forgot that Oklahoma is south of Michigan by like a lot. And it's the same temperature. Charles says, I still have my Kodak Instamax and Polaroid X70. Yeah, that's when the Polaroids came. I've never been a fan of the Polaroids. Never. I remember as a kid, some of the other kids had the Polaroids, and I never did like them. But it seems like I had that disc camera at camp, or so that would have been 50 years ago. Uh, Jeff said you even had the Kodak 110 film. That's the other I remember in the 80s. So the 110, where'd I go? Um, the 110 film wasn't that the little skinny one that, um, it seems like that was the little skinny cartridge thing. It was about yay long and about like that, and you dropped it in the camera. So I don't think I had a 110. One of my brothers might have, but I do remember I really liked that disc camera, but I was probably 10 years old. Scott says expecting rain most of next week though. Scott, it sounds like you live next door because we're expecting rain and the temperatures are going to be freezing and that means ice. So I'm really hoping that it doesn't rain and it snows, but if it rains, it's going to be a mess. Um, and I don't think we're seeing a reprieve until late next week. So, yeah, it could get bad before it gets better. Uh, Peter says at Amazon, real vermiculite, just like I knew, it's 99 cents a bag. I'd splurge and get two. No white dots, just real vermiculite. Okay, so we were talking earlier, Peter and I were talking about how to keep the water meter from freezing. And he was saying to put vermiculite in the on top of the meter itself, kind of insulate it, which I may very well do. I may very well get some of that and just go out and because I left the water running. I had the kitchen faucet open, I had the bathtub open, um, and I think I had flushed the toilet, and so it would have tried to fill up when the water uh, froze. So, but I left uh, the kitchen faucet, which is the furthest point. I left it running, and it still froze. So, go figure. And it'll probably, if it gets down to 6 degrees, it'll probably freeze again tonight. Jeff says, hello, Peter, how are you? Sorry I missed your live show. I'll watch later. It was a really good show, too. I got so engrossed in it that I almost missed mine. And he could have gone another hour. I would have been fine with that. I would have just sent everybody back over his way. Mookie says, double-sided, double density floppy drive drool. Okay, so I'm beginning to think, Mookie, that you must be an old fart like the rest of us. If you remember double-sided, double-density floppy drives, because they haven't been around for a minute, so I don't think you're in your 20s. Charles says, my Kodak Instamax used 126 film cartridges and cube flashes. I do remember the cube flashes, yes. One-shot wonders. Roy says 3.5-inch floppies were never as reliable as 5 1/4 or 8-inch, but they were in a hard shell case, and they were so small, and they had little holders that were small instead of the big. All of a sudden, everything in my world shrank down to small, and I like small. And the fact that they were in a hard shell really impressed me. Doesn't take much to impress me. Peter says, I had one of those shot and recorded on a smaller floppy 3.5-inch disc. I thought I was so into the future. Little did I know, right? Yeah, that's what I was just uh, talking about. Was I thought that was like, man, that was so cool. It was such a innovative at the time. It was so innovative to go from that big 5.25 down to a little bitty 3.5. It was just, yeah. And now we're on little bitty SD cards. Roy's talking to Peter. I must get a Sony Mavic floppy for my collection. Right? Yeah, no. I'd rather have a Hasselblad if I can find one for $25. Peter says, yep, that was the name of it too, Roy. Mavic. That's cool. Charles says, only one problem with these older cameras. Most of my photos had my finger showing on the photo after it was developed until I learned not to put my finger there, right? Yeah. Yeah, the Polaroid, I personally I didn't think it took a very good picture. Um, they all had the same look to them. So, yeah, I wasn't ever impressed with the Polaroid. But the Kodak, I was impressed with some of those. Jeff says Roy never took the Insta Polaroid. And never heard of the Mavic. Never heard of the Mavic. Roy, what format are they? The Now I don't know about the Mavic, but in the Polaroid, I honestly couldn't tell you. Yeah, sure, Peter. Make me feel bad. You guys are making me cold. I'm going to shut my window and get under my blankets. It's 68 degrees and dropping to 62. Mm-hmm. What I wouldn't give for some 62. And Peter, you're a lot closer than Australia. Could you just fan some of that warm air back up this way, please? Jeff says, yes, Charles, I remember the square flash. My folks had them. Yeah, I remember playing with those as a kid. Charles says that was before DOS was invented. K-Pro computers, digital, Sperry, compact computers ruled. Yep. And the operating system was called CP/M. I actually took some classes in DOS. Shred Life, welcome. It's Hale. Um, I think he's trying to type. Royce says Polaroids had too much contrast. Yes, I didn't like the look. That's one of the reasons I like the Osmo over the GoPro. Is the GoPro has a lot, a lot more contrast than the Osmo. It's excuse me. It's hailing in New Zealand, and there is a cyclone coming. Is a cyclone like a tornado? Because I'm thinking it is. Um, Charles says my Polaroid was the foldable one. It was so out of this world. Shred is saying, "Help me! There's a cyclone outside." I didn't know New Zealand had tornadoes. I thought in everything you hear and read, New Zealand is like got the perfect weather. So I didn't even know they had tornadoes. Uh, Roy's saying I started computers pre MS DOS. I used CP/M. Yeah, well, that's because we're all old as dirt. Scott says Insta Polaroid was truly awful. Yes, it was. Uh, Peter says, so what is happening? A cold freeze traveling west to east right across the middle of the country. Well, Possibly because Scott is in the middle of the country also. So, I mean, Michigan is, I don't think you're directly over like Oklahoma. I think you're, if I remember my map right, I think you're to the east a little bit. But I think Minnesota is directly over Oklahoma. But you're around all those Great Lakes. So you've got all that moisture from the lakes. Uh, Shred said, yes, we're all dying from cyclones. Ah, Roy, thank you. He's interpreting for me. Cyclones are hurricanes that are not in America. Gotcha. So they involve water. And Lewis says cyclones are similar to hurricanes. Okay. So they involve water. Um, Now, see, Peter thinks a cyclone's a tornado. Well, apparently they involve water. And Jeff says, I'll do not forget, if you've not done so, hit the like button. Well, oh, I did not do that, did I? Peter, you need to quit having such interesting shows because I didn't do our two little special button things. So, if you thought 3.5 floppies were amazing, what did you think about zip disks? I never. There's like a time period of computer things missing. I went from the 3.5 to CDs, so there's like a whole time thing missing. In fact, when I built that PC, I made sure and I put a CD read write thing in it. So, and my son and his friends questioned why I was doing that. And I said, because I'm old as dirt and I still like to uh, listen to CDs. I still like to, I thought, put pictures on them. Well, no, I have been schooled and educated into the 21st century. And yeah, so now I use uh, those sticks, those memory sticks. Shred said the weather is so bad. Well, here we're dealing with freezing body parts off. Yes. Uh, Charles says, get your hot chocolate going, Peter. It's going to be 40 degrees here in Miami this Sunday. Yeah, 40 would be a heat wave right here. Charles, you 6 degrees hurts. It's so cold it hurts bare skin. And Peter says, I'm watching. There is a something. Lewis says, I believe it's called a cyclone if it's in the southern hemisphere. I thought New Zealand was in the northern hemisphere. Obviously, I need to get out more. Um, okay, and I need to fix that. Well, we're going to end here pretty soon. I don't know that I can fix it right now, but okay. Um, but yeah, it's midnight, guys. So it's 1 o'clock for you East Coasters. Mookie says it's 18 degrees outside, and we've had a bit of snow. So yeah, it's 13 here, and you're up north. It's supposed to be cold up north. It's not supposed to be cold here. Not this cold. But we'll deal with what Mother Nature thinks to send us. So I didn't play any music either. Jeff says we have a cyclone. We have cyclones are the same as hurricanes in Upper Queensland, never in Brisbane. Okay. Uh, there's a massive wave that hit our house. Okay. Um, yeah. Well, guys, I'm going to call it a night. I'm going to go get in my nice warm heated bed and heat my legs back up because they've pretty much lost all feeling at this point, even with a blanket on them. And as I don't know if you can even see, but the the little heater back there, it's just doing its best and not not keeping up. So cyclones develop in the Pacific Ocean, hurricanes in the Atlantic. Thank you. And Peter says, that's okay, I'm a watching. Um, Roy is saying, I Omega zip disk lasted shorter than 3-inch discs. 3.5 took over. That's what I remember was it went 5.25 to 3.5. And Scott says, I was thinking about the Polaroid Insta slides when I commented, terribly grainy. Yes. Also, movies, Polavision, I think people have no idea the struggle we endured. And Charles says, yes, Live 40 is much warmer. But remember, we don't have heaters here in Miami. Most of us don't, anyway. That's true. Yes, that is very true. So, Shred, I hope you're okay. Um, I really do. I hope everything turns out okay for you. Uh, Jeff says I will need to say bye. Stay safe and awesome. Me too, Jeff. I'm gonna go crawl into my nice warm. It should be warm by now. Bed with its heated mattress pad and put all those blankets on top of me and um, so I and Lewis. I think I'll be home tomorrow night. I think, but I do try to catch you on the replay and and a lot of times I listen to you, but I'm like driving and I can't really text. So if I'm not on the turnpike yet and I hit a stoplight, I'll text and tell you I'm driving. But if I'm actually driving 80, then I'm not gonna say anything. I just listen to you. Scott says, is Oklahoma part of Canada now? You know, I really thought if they defected, they would defect to Mexico, where it's warm, but no. Peter says, but you could touch the 5-inch one directly because they had no covers. You couldn't touch them, I don't think. Yeah. And there's Mr. Saturn. Mookie says, thanks for the chat. Take care and stay safe, everyone. Go get some great photos. Yep. And I will see everybody next week, same time, 10:30. Rainey says, stay safe and keep smiling. Cheers. And Lewis is saying bye. And Mr. Saturn is saying, sending positive energy to everyone. Yes. Peter's saying good night and stay warm. I will see you guys next Friday night, 10:30. And have a great week, everybody. Good night. It's not going away.